Welcome back to another edition of Sports Sunday, and for this week's edition, we will be discussing the current status of the NBA playoffs, the UEFA Champions League matchups coming up later this month for the semifinals, and also going over the quarterfinal matches that have already been played, and also giving our thoughts on the now defunct Alliance of American Football League, which started earlier this year. But for those who haven't heard yet, it's now defunct. We'll get more into that later. But before we start, for this edition, we just want to let everybody know that our next stream on this channel here on YouTube will be on Wednesday. And for the Wednesday stream, it will be for our next Q&A series topic. And for those who know who our Q&A series topic is, we will put in the top right corner our intro video to our next Q&A series topic. And then also on our Twitter at VerdictSquadNow, we'll give you guys updates on what time we plan on starting the stream on Wednesday. So that's on our Twitter at VerdictSquadNow to get you guys updates on our stream schedule as well as for future content schedule and going forward news and updates for Verdict Squad on here and then all other channels that we have an account on. So with NBA playoffs, so yesterday there were 4 games that happened yesterday, and one of the series has now ended where the Celtics actually swept the Pacers 4-0. And also we had the Warriors beating the Clippers. Now they're up 3-1. The Raptors beat the Magic. They're also up 3-1. And then also Portland Trail Blazers defeated the Thunder, and they're also up 3-1 as well. So without Victor Oladipo, that they definitely didn't have the longevity and also the overall talent and endurance to be able to run with the Celtics for all 4 quarters. A common theme for this series was that 3 quarters the Pacers were competitive with the Celtics, but then as the 4th quarter came along, they eventually fell apart, and the Celtics were able to run away with the rest of the game and take the series. Now, as for the Celtics, they're most likely going to be facing the Milwaukee Bucks, who are playing tonight. So for tonight, that being said, there's going to be 2 games going to be going on tonight. The first one's going to be at 8 p.m., and the Bucks are going to be visiting the Detroit Pistons, where the Bucks are up 3-0. So they're looking to sweep the Pistons and to knock them out of the playoffs. And then afterwards, we will have the Rockets visiting the Utah Jazz, and the Rockets are up 3-0. So in terms of how far we think the Rockets are going to go, we put into the top right corner our NBA predictions for the playoffs that we gave earlier this year. So you can check that out too. So as of right now, what really struck me too is not just the Celtics sweeping the Pacers, but also some incredible events and already games that we already had seen so far in just the playoffs. We had the Clippers coming back against the Warriors from a 31-point deficit to at least have one game they back for that. The Warriors would have swept the Clippers, but also we had the Magic winning on a near a buzzer beater game-winning 3. It was about 2-3 seconds left too. It was from DJ Augustine. It was for game 1. Even though since then the Raptors have won the next 3 games. But also what really struck me is for the Rockets, their game 3 against Utah, James Harden missed his first 15 shots, and then right at the end too, he was able to at least come through for his team. With that, the Rockets still won. So the reason why was we're much higher on the Rockets too, and we think they're going to do much better than like other people think too. We said this in our NBA predictions video that the Rockets are. It's not just only just James Harden too, but really is a team too that is really built around him, and he makes other players on his team better off, especially just with Chris Paul as well. Really, James Harden just brings out the better of the players on his team. Even if he's not having a great game too, the rest of his team is just there. Even against the Utah Jazz team, which is still a pretty decent team, they're still able to, at this point for tonight, they could be able to sweep them out of the playoffs. So overall right now too, the NBA playoffs have been pretty fun to watch. I expect even more dramatic finishes and also even more amazing games that are coming up. So with tonight, there's the 2 games that are coming up. And then again, going forward with the Bucks too, most likely they're going to end up playing the Celtics. So the Celtics in round 2 are probably going to get the Bucks, considering the Celtics are the 4th seed and the Bucks are the 1st seed. And then with the Raptors too, they end up finishing off the Orlando Magic. They're being the 2nd seed. They're mostly going to be taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. They're going to be the 3rd seed. The Sixers are the 3rd seed. So most likely that's how the East is going to end up. And then as for the West coming up, as of right now too, probably with the Rockets. I think the Rockets were I believe they were a 4th seed too. But not missing the 4th seed. They're probably going to end up playing it's either going to be the Warriors or the Nuggets overall too. So the Nuggets right now too, they were taking on the Spurs in their first round playoff matchup. But overall, too, these should be fun matchups coming up. Let's see, too, the Warriors actually are the 1st seed overall, too. So the Nuggets then would most likely be taking on Portland because Portland's about to finish off the Thunder. They're up 3-1, I believe. That's what it said, too, because they yesterday played, like I just said. They're up 3-1. So overall, they're going to be fun matchups coming up for round 2. Then obviously with the conference finals, the NBA finals, it should be a lot of fun going into June, where June we will finally have our NBA finals. So hopefully you guys are going to look forward to the 2 games tonight and for the rest of the NBA playoffs. Now we are moving on to the Champions League. Earlier this month, we had the quarterfinal matchups. So one of them was just a bit somewhat controversial with the Spurs and Man City. VAR just had to go in and influence yet another match, or at least the outcome of the match in aggregate. And for those who don't know, too, where there's more than one leg in a match, too, where there's 2 teams that are facing off, too. It's not just necessarily a single elimination tournament. There's 2 legs in this in the UEFA Champions League tournament. So it's overall combination of how each team scored in terms of goals. So it's not necessarily where if one team, even if they win by 4, so if they're leading in the aggregate when going into the second leg or the second match 4-0, even if they end up losing 2-0, they'll be up 4-2, so they would eventually move on. But the reason why I say this too is it's because for the Spurs, they ended up just having an aggregate of being tied with Man City, but it's because of they had an away goal rule where if you have in UEFA Champions League, if you had away goals where if you scored while you're on the pitch of another team, and if you had scored more and if you're the away team, then you would end up getting the tiebreaker there. So Man City was supposed to be the ones supposed to move on to the semifinals, but because of a VAR or video assisted referee, they ended up taking away a goal that should have been theirs. But again, that's what the VAR was, because originally the refs called a goal for Man City, but then the VAR actually ended up reversing that call and taking away the goal. So a bit of controversy there too, because some people overall are mixed on VARs, and we've discussed this before on the series. I would just say going forward to not just for the Champions League, but overall just for matches in general, they just have to have more, concrete rules on what the VARs can overturn, what's considered, evidence when you look at the, the video evidence too, or the replay of how clear whatever the play was or whatever was called in the question to, how clear it has to be, how explicit it has to be, or how obvious it has to be to the referee just looking at the replay of the video or replay of the tape of the game. Hopefully that's having more concrete rules there, or they may even have to limit ARs, maybe more limit to when they can be used. But going forward, they'll have to be more concrete than that, so that, just either as controversies or just people who have more of a better idea of they'll be able to either change calls or to reinforce calls or to uphold calls that are made on the pitch. So with that being said, other quarterfinal matchups you have as well. Liverpool moves on against Porto, 2-0 against their final. Also, you had Barcelona moving on as well. You had actually be the best team in Serie A as Juventus. So Juventus actually got knocked out in the quarterfinal, even though Juventus was able to win the Scudetto, or the Italian overall, what they call the regular season, being the top team in their table. They call it the Scudetto, which is basically the regular season championship. And they were able to actually win that for, I believe it's their 8th straight season. So they won that overall just this past week. And also you had, going forward, that being said, with the semifinals now coming up, they're going to start on April 30th. It's coming up on Tuesday, so it's going to be 8 days from now. You're going to have the Spurs taking on Ajax, and then you're also going to have Barcelona taking on Liverpool. And Barcelona and Liverpool would be on May 1st. Both those would be the first leg, and then the second leg would be May 7th. It would be Liverpool against Barcelona, and then Ajax taking on Tottenham or the Spurs on May 8th. So overall, those should be fun matchups to watch. It'll be exciting to see who's able to pull it off. Personally, I thought Juventus was actually going to do a little better, but Ajax actually definitely surprised us. Definitely surprised us all too with their underdog win. But again, we'll have fun matchups regardless coming up later this month, and then in the next couple weeks it should be fun. And also we have the finals too. The final would be played not until June 1st, but again, in the next 8 days from now, we're going to have the semifinals start in the Champions League. So with that being said too, now we have the now defunct Alliance of American Football. It's kind of sad to hear the news that they decided to just file Chapter 7 or just basically terminate or just dissolve the business or dissolve the entire league. It didn't even last 1 year. They ended up playing 8 games out of their 10 regularly scheduled games. They didn't even end up playing any of the playoff games. I was able to watch games on TV, whether they were on TNT or CBS. And overall, I think it was just sad, too. They never really gave a league the full chance that it deserved. I know, in the first season, too, they're going to have issues, whether it's in terms of how it's presented to people, maybe the quality of play, how certain rules are implemented. They're just, but that really the first year was just trying to see what worked and what didn't. But overall, I thought they were off to a good start. In terms of viewership, they at least had a steady or consistent amount of viewership, even though, yeah, it's the first season, or was the first season. I just didn't feel like it wasn't given the full chance it deserved. And really, I would have wanted to see maybe at least even one more season, at least a second season. First off, obviously, finish the first season and to see who our champion is. But at least give it another season too, just to see if there's certain things that need to be changed or not. But it's pretty sad to see at least this league not really be able to live up to its full potential. And with that being said, we'll have the XFL, which is another startup league, going to be starting in 2020. We'll be starting next year. Hopefully they take some of the lessons that they have from the Alliance of American Football, and then also the XFL. They're bringing it back again now. They already said too there's going to be significant changes to what people saw in 2001, but again, we'll have to see too if it's able to be a viable product versus than we just have in the NFL. But again, it's going to all depend upon, if they're able to provide something that's not only just entertaining, but it's also its own distinct entity that is able to be feasible or sustainable over a longer period of time. And then also just giving the league, if it's able to actually not only just take itself seriously, but actually provide a very entertaining product to give it the full chance it deserves. Now, will they be able to do that? Again, I guess time will tell. But the AAF too, which I mentioned before too, what they're app to, they had more real-time interaction while games were being played too. They did a few things too that I thought were innovative and that I thought actually were pretty cool. But unfortunately, they just never really got the full chance to not just improve upon what they at least started, but just to see if in the long term, this was something that they wanted to watch. Now, again, unfortunately, we'll never know what the Alliance of American Football, I guess, would be able to, in the long term, bring for entertainment. But hopefully, could do much better too and just be around over in the longer term. So for the XFL, we'll see what's going to happen now for next year. But again, I was just sad too when I heard that the AAF went bankrupt and they were no longer continuing. So for the XFL too, they're going to start with 8 teams, I believe. But with this, it's different too, where they'll pick the largest markets overall in the U.S. I believe there's like one in Seattle, one in LA, 2 in Texas. There's one in Tampa. I think there's one in D.C. And then I forget the other two. Maybe the other one's like New York, and maybe another one. It may have been St. Louis, I believe. I believe those were the teams that they at least announced for the XFL. Because I believe it was like earlier this month too. They overall picked the 8 cities, or at least the 8 teams that are going to start off with the XFL. So hopefully the XFL does well. And with that being said too, this will end our edition of This Week's Sports Sunday. I know we're uploading it on Monday. It's a little later too, but I wasn't able to do it yesterday because of the Easter holiday or Passover, whatever it is that you celebrate. Thank you again to everybody for watching. And again, we have our Wednesday stream on this channel. We'll let everyone know on our Twitter at VerdictSquadNow what time that's going to be starting. And again, we'll explain more, not just what's going on with that too. We put it in the top left corner, or actually top right corner of our screen, just so you guys can check out at least what the stream, at least the main topic's going to be about. But again, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Our next stream will be at 8:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. We'll let everybody know which game we'll be streaming on our Twitter at VerdictSquad as well. Thank you again, guys, for watching, and we will see you guys later on tonight.